this rate. In my life there came a time when I had to make a change. You know, the things just weren't right. I looked around for someone else to blame. I searched and I reached down inside. And I knew when I found there's a light I can hide. I can be free. I can be free. I can rise above. I can be free. I can be free.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you live from KSCO Radio. And I'm really happy to be here. I have a few different subjects I want to talk about today. Since I have backed out of adjusting after 35 years, it's almost like playing professional football every day, 5 days a week, when you're doing the type of adjusting that some bodies need, but I've been able to back out. I have an amazing new doctor. He's a second generation doctor. I went to school with his dad 40 years ago. And Dr. Taylor's doing a great job at helping with the chiropractic, freeing up imprisoned impulses, making the body work better, allowing the greatest physician who ever lived to take back control and heal yourself. The innate intelligence inside your body has that ability as long as you remove the distractions. So the real cool part about this is I'm able to do some of the other things that I've been studying and trying to implement over the years. And of course, the stem cell machine we have, the soft wave therapy, tissue regenerative therapy machine is still miracles. I had a woman who might be listening today. She came from, I think from Salinas, and she's a caregiver, works for hospice, and she couldn't bend her knee. She couldn't kneel. And she came in, very nice, came in with a friend of hers, and we talked and did an evaluation of her. I took an x-ray of her knees and her low back and decided it would be appropriate to do a mapping session, the $49 mapping session with the stem cell machine. She came out, KC, who runs that department, said, Dr. McCollum, do you have a minute? This patient would like to say something to you. And I came out and she just immediately gave me a huge hug and started basically crying on my shoulder and saying, I can do this, I can do a squat. I can do a squat. The first time in years that she could actually bend her knees and hold up her own body weight doing a squat. And it was pretty amazing. And we do see these things a lot. You know, I mean, this machine saved my life, really did some remarkable things for my body. That's why I got it. How many, 5 years ago, maybe? I was the first one in Northern California to have it. There were less than 200 when I got it, but I was, you know, I wasn't afraid to jump in with something that I could see help the people's voice. And also, you know, I've been working with Dr. Dan Pompa for almost 6 years now, maybe 6 or 7, I lose count. And I'm one of about 30 platinum doctors that work with him. Pretty much we work exclusively. I'm going to a seminar with him this next weekend. And he is a cellular expert. His battle cry was fix the cell to get well, and realizing that you can medicate symptoms. $4.3 trillion is spent in this country. I've heard anywhere from 70 to 90%, and you can look on NIH or any of these things. So most of that money is spent on symptom mitigating or covering up or holding down, but very little on actually fixing things. So when you look at the cellular level and understand that we live in the most toxic time on the planet, and 250 billion tons of toxins are dumped on the planet every year, our bodies are overwhelmed, and not only from what we get in our lifetime, but the 4 generations of toxins, including heavy metals, molds, and now glyphosate that's passed down 4 generations through mom's umbilical blood. And now we even have forever chemicals that our body has to learn to tolerate and deal with, because they're there forever and they're growing more and more and more. Things like non-stick things that you spray on pans, and a lot of these things. Just look up forever chemicals. You'll be surprised, excuse me, at what they are. So we see, so what I've been able to do now that I've not in the trenches adjusting everybody, I'm helping understand and seeing if we can help them, and putting them in the rooms where with Dr. Taylor, who's remarkable, incredible doctor, so brilliant. And but it's allowed me to start to really do what I was doing a few years ago, but got overwhelmed with the amount of people that needed chiropractic, and I couldn't do both. So now I'm really rolling in the cellular healing department again, Fix a Cell to Get Well, Dr. Dan Pompa's program, the Pompa program. Myself and the other 30, give or take, healthcare professionals have worked with Dr. Pompa over the years. We try out his ideas. You know, he goes, okay, who wants to do this? Who wants to do that? And we all do the research together. We've been to Mexico and had 100 million stem cells injected into our veins. I have twice, as well as my own stem cells taken out and injected in an area that I need it. So the innovators of Earth, are the early adapters, are the ones that are making a huge difference health-wise. And, you know, I kind of like to try to keep myself on that cutting edge. So this soft wave therapy machine, the TRT machine, was that for me first, because it allowed me to continue. I couldn't even lift my arm when I first got the machine. And I had to travel a long way to get a treatment. And after one treatment, I could raise my arm 40 degrees. The second treatment, 80. And I said, I'm not driving anymore, I'm buying one. And we've helped thousands of people in the last 5 years with this machine. Really amazing. If you haven't tried it, you should call the office and do the $49 special. Heck, I went out and had some dinner with couple friends the other night after we did some sports. And, you know, $50 barely gets you a meal. So for the price of going out to dinner once, you can find out whether the stem cell machine will help you. All right. So the cool thing about the Pompa program and what Dr. Dan Pompa has been doing, we split from the health centers of the future, and because Dr. Pompa was really needing to be able to do the research that he knew necessary for such a time as this. In fact, his new supplement line is quoted to have been produced, as he says, for such a time as this. For such a time as this, we're rated 47th in the world for health, and that hasn't changed in decades. You know, we have 80 million Americans have multiple chronic diseases. Autoimmune diseases are rampant, and things like peripheral neuropathy, which I'll talk about in a minute, there's really nothing you can do in the medical realm except take gabapentin. And gabapentin is an off-label drug for epileptic seizures, along with Lyrica and a few others. And it's not really doing anything to correct the problem, but it is actually deadening the symptoms as the disease progresses to a point where your freedom is lost. So with the new Pompa program, I was helping work on some of the verbiage on the labeling this last week. He asked me if I would help them make it more, not quite so scientific and a little bit more reader friendly, which I love doing. I just finished the rewrite of my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. It's sixth book I've written. That should be out in a couple months. But so when I was able to read through the literature that he had gone through in order to produce this new supplement line, I was blown away. Now, so many supplements have an extraction process where they'll take an herb or a plant, and they use water or some kind of chemical, be it alcohol or something else, to extract the active ingredient out of that herb or plant to put into a supplement. But so much is left on the board. So much is left in that plant that they've used. It's called a substrate, which they draw stuff out of. So this new product line, because we need something strong enough to get in these ailing cells, we need something to be able to bypass the cellular inflammation, correct the cellular inflammation, and at the same time get into the cell to act on the power plant or the mitochondria of the cell so that the body can start to heal. And the genes, the bad genes that live inside the cell, inside the nucleus of the cell, are either not turned on in the first place, or we can start to alter and turn these genes down. So some of those genetic diseases that people suffer from can be turned down because it's a light switch. Literally, you turn it on or you turn it off, or you have a dimmer switch to it. So anyway, I'm talking about the different methods that we're extracting these supplements from the nutrients. And now what Dr. Pompa has also done is found out through the research with the other people he worked with, and then trickle on down through the platinum doctors, of which I'm one, is he's found out that you can ferment the supplement, the same substrate or the plant or herb that is. You can do a fermentation process to also extract different active ingredients or more of the active ingredients, a slightly different taint to it, by doing a fermentation of that herb or plant in order to help that get extracted. Now, the problem with most fermentation is it's a histamine reaction. And histamines are what cause inflammation in your body. So if you're doing an extraction of trying to get something good out of, a plant or an herb, and it's created by creating a histamine reaction, then you're countering the very effect that you're trying to achieve, because histamines cause inflammation or react from inflammation. And what we are trying to do is reduce chronic inflammation in the body, because chronic inflammation causes chronic disease. That's unequivocal. Look it up anywhere. So we know that toxins cause chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation causes chronic disease. So we have the typical traditional extraction, which is a relatively, I've never done it, but it's been the practice that they've been doing for years. Water, or actually I have done it with arnica that was growing on our property. And so that's one, but you're leaving all this other stuff that, see, we can't digest anything. Humans can't digest anything. We need bacteria, viruses, and molds, and a microbiome to digest the food that we put in our mouth. It's not digestible to humans until it goes through this friendly microbiome that actually eats and breaks down the food products into something assimilated into our body, like amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and all that stuff. So the same process when you ferment these plants that are not digestible by humans without some kind of microbiome involved, the fermentation process, which is usually a yeast, will also extract more of those supplements out of those plants. So now you have two variables in the supplement you're taking. You have twice, and I don't know the numbers, but much broader range of available stuff to try to do the things we know it can do. Like, for instance, turmeric, anti-inflammatory. So there's three ways that we are extracting this out of the turmeric now, rather than just the one. And so it's pretty amazing. So now we have the extraction, and then we have the fermentation, but they do it in a non-histamine reactive fermentation. So they figured out how to do the fermentation of these plants to extract the active ingredients necessary to help the herb be even more powerful than you can find anywhere on the planet. And they're doing it in a way that isn't causing inflammation in your body at the same time. So this is pretty cool, but that's not all. The third way that we do this is by using mushrooms or mycelium. And I had to take a deep dive and to understand the process here, because this is fascinating, brilliant, and really unparalleled anywhere on the planet. So we know that if you've ever seen where mushrooms grow in the wild, sometimes there's a film across the ground or on the tree root or, wherever it might be. And that's called a mycelium. And it's like a network of fine little tubules spread out over the word substrate, which might be the rotting tree or what have you. And that mycelium, or that network of web-shaped tubules, can permeate into the decaying plant or on the surface. And then the enzymatic process of the actual mushroom, not the thing that we see as a mushroom, but it's basically footprint, is going to the enzymes are what digests the plant or the root that it's on. And those enzymes change it into something that is now digestible by the mushroom fruit, which would be the mushroom you buy in a store, the reishi, the lion's mane, maitake, any of those. So what's now cool is we know that we can use mushrooms to extract properties out of a substrate in order to get a viable third way of digesting supplements. So, or extracting the nutrients out of a supplement. So what Dr. Pompa has done, which is brilliant, is we know that, say, lion's mane, great mushroom. We know that it's very active in reducing inflammation in the brain. And when you reduce inflammation, you can help the brain in a lot of things, brain fog and this and that, but a lot more. So rather than growing the mushrooms on grain, which is mostly filled with glyphosate these days, or on sawdust, which a lot of people do, they've got the mycelium grow into that sawdust, and then those microtubules will actually use enzymes to digest the sawdust to make food for the mushroom to live. He actually grows these mushrooms on things like turmeric or boswellia or astragalus and or ginkgo biloba. So now what's happening, you have a mushroom that's great for the brain, and you grow it on a substrate or a plant or herb that actually is also great for the brain. So now you have this mushroom that's extracting its food from something that's going to augment that particular mushroom's ability to be active. And it's so exciting to me because I know that we've helped so many people nutritionally. And now with the trifecta, I call it, you have the extraction method, the non-histamine fermentation method, and now the mycelium myelinated method. And those three together make supplements unparalleled. And so the beauty of this is when you put these together to do a detoxification of the body, which Dr. Pompa is the king of, you actually can get to the cells, clean up the cells, and get the mitochondria, the power plant in the cell, functioning well, so the body has enough energy to heal and knock out a lot of this inflammation, the autoimmune diseases, and be able to give you the energy to not only live, but to turn back your biological clock. Because we know that the telomeres, which are the little growth factors that indicate your age inside the cell, can be extended by fasting, by different types of supplements that you can take, by getting on a ketogenic diet, but you never stay on any of that stuff for a long time. You want to be on it periodically. There's MZ. AMZ. And so the cool thing is now that we have this trifecta for trying to turn back your clock. And the first thing we do when we're doing the Dr. Pompa program, which I do in my office for those that basically you have to qualify for it, because a lot of people aren't going to do what you need them to do to get their health back. A lot of people want to come in and take a magic pill and get their health back, or get one adjustment and get their health back, get one TRT and get their health back, get one treatment for peripheral neuropathy and get their health back. Well, it's taken years and years and years to get you where you are. So to think that you're going to get it back in any short period of time is, not going to happen. So, but staying on the it's called core cellular healing program method for a while. We now know that we have a minimum of 5 months to get the body dumping the toxins. So the first phase is we're going to really get the downstream pathways opened up, which is the liver, the colon, help with a leaky gut, make sure the kidneys functioning well, make sure your lymphatic system is functioning well. And that's going to take a while because most 95% of the people in this country, according to some sources, have some degree of leaky gut or intestinal permeability, as medical people like to call it. Once we get that done, then we can start to detoxify the heavy metals, the molds, and the chemicals out of the body below the neck, I like to say, because you can't do anything to the brain until you get someplace for the toxins to go. So you got to get them out of the body. So as they're coming out of the brain, they fall downhill. And that is called the concentration gradient. So anybody who is serious about changing their health, there are a couple different methods, but I'll tell you, when you try to do a perfunctory detox that you might get off the shelf in the store and it's 11 days, more than likely you're stirring up the pot. You might feel good for a little bit, but you're really not getting those toxins completely out of the body, and you could be do more harm than good. So at any rate, if you have any information, want some more information, you can call or send Mariah at McCollum Wellness, Mariah at McCollumWellness.com, an email, and we'll send you some more information on this program. So that is, now we've talked about chiropractic, which, you know, I am a corrective care chiropractor. So I'm not looking to just cover up your symptoms or get you out of pain, although that's wonderful. But I was talking to this gentleman the other day, and I'll tell you a funny story about this. And Dad, you may be listening, but a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about a particular vitamin that's been discovered that nobody knew about. It's called vitamin G, as in George. And I talked about the vitamin a little bit, or the process of it and how effective it was, and that it was free and you could get it in abundance. And so last week, this father came in with his son. His son was actually almost 40. And the dad must have been 65 or something. And he brought him in and said, my son has some kind of problem chiropractically, and we want to try the tissue regenerative therapy machine. So he left, the dad did, and left his son. We went through the process of doing an exam consultation. I took an x-ray of his back. We ended up doing the tissue regenerative therapy. He'd been in pain for 25 years. So, you know, the chances of having a miracle are weighed by three things. One, the physical issue, physical problem, that is, the chemical imbalances in the body, or the chemistry that could actually be causing inflammation in the body. And of course, what you think about, you talk about, you bring about. So anyway, he had set a couple different appointments to come in and see us. And for one reason or another, wasn't able to make them. But he did come in last week, and it was very interesting because I got a message from my front desk that said, so-and-so wants to know about vitamin D. Apparently you were talking about vitamin D, as in Duncan, on one of your shows recently. And I'm shaking my head going, I didn't talk about vitamin D. What the heck? So anyway, I forgot about it. I go into the room where I'm doing the report with this guy. And, you know, he said, well, I didn't really have much result from the machine. I go, well, it does take time. You know, 10% of the time you might be more sore, 10% of the time it's going to be the same, and 80% of the time you get some improvements, and there's several factors involved. So I went through his report of findings with him, showed him his x-rays, talked about the damage that he got to his spine when he played football when in high school, very visible, and asked him what he wanted to do about it. He goes, well, I want to, whatever my insurance will cover, which was nothing because it was an HMO. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. You have great medical insurance, probably some of the best. But when it comes to actually fixing this, your insurance isn't going to cover it. You're going to have to pay for it yourself. Well, I'm not going to do that. I go, okay. Well, you're in the trades, right? Yeah. Well, think about it this way. If I was a carpenter and I came into your house because the sheetrock was peeling off of one of your walls, and I took that sheetrock down and I saw rotten timber and termites in there, and said, look, we need to get those termites out. And you said, nah, just put sheetrock up again and paint it. Or I didn't tell you that, and I put sheetrock up there and painted it because I didn't have the skills nor the confront to tell you what needed to be done. So if I were to do that, I would be a lousy carpenter and probably lose my carpenter's license, right? My contractor's license. And I said, you wouldn't do that, would you? And no. I go, well, neither would I. So, I want you to really realize what the condition is, why it's been there for 25 years, why it hasn't gotten better. And this, if I'm going to help you, I still need more information from you. I don't have enough to tell you what you need yet, because I only have the x-ray of his low back, and I'm going, I got to see what's going on in the rest of your body. Yeah, it was all right. I knew that he wasn't going to be a patient, and that was fine. At least he came in and he had a chance to find out something that was going on. But then he said something very interesting. We were ending up the treatment plan, and he goes, oh, my dad wanted you to tell me about vitamin G. And I went, oh, vitamin G. Oh, that's what it was. And I kind of chuckled to myself, because here's this father who's probably retired, 65 years old or more, brings in his son who was in his 40s and telling his son, you need to ask the doctor where you can get some vitamin G. Well, I chuckled to myself and I said, oh, G, vitamin G. G stands for gratitude. So your dad's telling you you need to get more gratitude. Does that make sense to you? Deadpan. And I go, does that make sense? He goes, yeah. So I thought it was pretty funny that his dad drove all the way, a very long distance, to bring his son here to get a dose of vitamin G. So whether the son got it or not, I don't know. But my point is that in order to get healthy, you have to have the right frame of mind. You have to be willing to serve other people. You have to be able to look outside of your own box. And the other thing is, I said, look, if your car broke down and you needed a new car and your insurance didn't pay for it, would you get a new car? Yeah. Well, the same thing goes with your health. Insurance isn't going to get you healthy. It's designed to get you out of pain or cover up your symptoms, but it won't go any farther than that. Anyway, so I digress here a bit. We've been talking about chiropractic, and that was corrective care chiropractic. What does it take to get all 31 spinal nerves that go to 75 trillion cells working as good as possible so that your body can communicate, tell the problems that are occurring, tell the environment that it's in, so that the body can make a reaction to handle that environment or handle you in that environment or put up a protective mechanism. It's kind of interesting the way the body works. And I'll use a nursing mother as an example. So when a mother's nursing and the baby latches on in order to get the nourishment, the life source from mom, the saliva in the baby's mouth as it latches on sends a message to the mom's body saying, these are the deficiencies in my body. This is what I need in order to flourish and prosper as an infant. The body will respond and alter the delivery of the milk to include those substances that baby's saliva said were deficient. And that is an amazing innate intelligence at work. So from the mother's breast milk, feeding the baby the necessary balanced formula in order to help that baby overcome the problems in life. Well, on a larger scale, that's what your nervous system does to you in your whole environment. It tells the brain what's going on in the environment and tells, the brain dangers, hot, cold, not enough oxygen, danger, whatever, right? And then the brain getting that signal correctly will then make a incredibly brilliant response. Remember, every cell does 60 million things a minute, all controlled by the brain. Every one of the 75 trillion cells does 60 million functions a minute. Pretty quick, right? So the stimuli via the nervous system, including the eyes, the ears, all touch, feeling, vibration, hot, cold, gets to the brain. In a nanosecond, the brain will send either an electrical signal and at the same time, a chemical signal to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland inside your brain. And immediately they'll dump chemicals into your bloodstream to tell your adrenaline or to tell your hormones or your endocrine glands what it needs to do. So, you know, you're about to get hit by a car, somebody honks. Immediately, you jump 20 feet in the air and hang from a branch on a tree to not get hit by that car. In a nanosecond, all this has occurred, and your adrenal glands put up enough adrenaline to give you superhuman strength. So the importance of having the nervous system function well is apparent. And that is that's what we do chiropractically. We're not just trying to get people out of pain. People think we're pain doctors. We're not. Some are, you know, and that's great. There's a lot of, you know, athletes and sport people that say, hey, just get me out of pain so I can go play again. That's great for that. But if you really want to be as healthy as you can, and I'll tell you what, now's the time we got to be healthy, then you might want to go to a corrective care chiropractor like myself. There's, I think, one or two others in town, maybe. But there are a lot of chiropractors that are great at what they do. They just do something different than me. And if you have a chiropractor you like, just say, hey, how do I get as healthy as I can? How often should I come in order to get as healthy as I can? Symptoms or not, okay? I get adjusted minimum once a week, but I broke my back when I was 12. And if I didn't get adjusted, I wouldn't be walking. So anyway, so that's innate intelligence. Remember, those cells do 60 million functions a minute, right? If the cell is toxic and the cell wall is toxic due to different bad oils that we had, heavy metals, glyphosate, the toxic environment, a liver that's too polluted to clean your blood anymore, and a liver, kidneys also not working, your colon isn't able, you're not going to the bathroom enough because your colon's swollen, called colitis or leaky gut syndrome or whatever name you want to give it, then the cells get plugged up, and no matter how well the nervous system and the endocrine system's working, the cells cannot read the signal on the cell, nor can they absorb the vitamins and minerals, which, if I have enough time, I'll talk about how Dr. Pompa's got the minerals working now. Brilliant way to get these minerals in the body. But so that is the, you know, so first you've got the chiropractic to make sure the nervous system's working well. You have the TRT, softwave therapy machine, to help with old injuries that aren't healing, and even peripheral neuropathy. Now we're going to clean up your body at a cellular level and get your brain doing what it's supposed to do, keeping you healthy so innate intelligence can work. Now, so that is really key to making sure that your body's working right with a cellular inflammation. Now, Dr. Pompa's new program, which I'm versed in, and very few people are yet, there's only 30 platinums on the planet, and a lot of people are going through the program, some healthcare practitioners, but it's, you know, very time consuming and very expensive. So I've been working this all the way from the beginning, well, at least 6 years, and watch this evolve till this weekend. The new supplements are coming out, the new program, the new Pompa program with the detox availability for the first time ever. And I'm very excited about it because I've been on the inside scoop of watching it all come about for quite a while. And again, being able to go through the literature and come and help them write the descriptions is pretty exciting. So now the last thing that I'm able to do, and I'm taking this on big time, is peripheral neuropathy. Now, I know there's some advertisements out there for peripheral neuropathy, and you can probably go to some luncheons or dinners. But the program that we recommend is not just something to do for the peripheral neuropathy. Yes, we need to get oxygen to the nerves at the tips of your toes, because when you lose oxygen anywhere in the body, that organ dies, or that body part dies. That's when gangrene comes in there, or the beginning of a rotting body part. So the nerve, which is a hard wire, that, like if you were to look at the cord going to you plug in your light, the copper is the actual nerve, or axon, as we call it in science. And then the plastic covering on that wire to your light stops you from getting electrocuted, and it actually helps that nerve or that wire work and conduct electricity. Well, it's just like your nerves. It has a coating around the nerves called the myelin sheath. And that myelin sheath is filled with really good, strong, healthy oils that aren't brittle, not the rancid oils or the polyunsaturated oils that we've been talked about years ago, but healthy oils filled with blood vessels, and the blood vessels deliver oxygen to those peripheral nerves all the way to the end to keep them alive and healthy. Well, as you go through life, we've got chemical toxicity, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, injuries, exposed to toxins where you work or in your environment or under your sink, different types of diseases, alcohol, smoking, all these different things that can create this problem. And if you're not cleaning those up, I mean, you have to clean those up for sure, but now we've got to bring the nerves back to life. And I've been working with Dr. Dan McCleinen in this arena, and remarkable information out there on this arena. Okay. Now you add this to the cellular detox, to the tissue regenerative therapy that also recreates blood vessels at the cellular level. The capillary will grow. That's called angiogenesis. Angio means blood vessel and genesis means life or new life. So it creates new blood vessels or capillaries wherever we use it. So the TRT is part of the peripheral neuropathy. But if you're not adding this together, you're going to be less effective. And so what else we know about the peripheral neuropathy is we have very, very well researched infrared light therapy that actually is going, you apply to the area of problem. And we're able to take thermographic pictures of your hands and feet and see where you're losing oxygenation or where you're losing the nerve function, because it's going to be dark colored. The very good blood flow on a thermographic picture is going to be yellow. But a lot of times on the tips of the fingers or the toes and mid feet, we'll see them turning red and then dark purple and then black. And you may have some symptoms or a lot of symptoms of peripheral neuropathy, which is difficulty standing, walking. You don't want to be on uneven surfaces, afraid to drive a car, can't keep your balance, bands around, feels like you're walking on mushrooms, or a band around your legs. Don't want to go watch your grandchildren play sports because you're afraid you'll fall. You don't go get around much anymore, like that song, Don't Get Around Much Anymore, because you're afraid of the ramifications, and there's nothing you can do. And the medical profession basically gives you gabapentin. And so now we know that we can turn around the peripheral neuropathy. If you look up anywhere, do peripheral nerves grow for your whole life? You'll find out, yes, the peripheral nervous system, which is outside of your central nervous system, which is your spine, the peripheral nerves continue to grow your entire life. You just have to fertilize them well and take care of them, nourish them, make sure they got oxygen. So just like your house is, the inside would be the center and the outside would be the periphery of your house. So the peripheral nervous system is outside of the spine. The central nervous system is inside your spine or inside your house. So now we have this amazing ability to not only make sure the nervous system's working right. Dave, I'm just going to keep going. Make sure your nervous system's working right. Sorry, I should have told you before. Dave's in there waiting for me to go to a commercial, and he's probably got other things to do. Really appreciate Dave Michaels and Dave Cave out here, and the great supplements that you can get from Dr. Wallach's program. But really appreciate Dave being here. Okay, where was I? Talking about peripheral neuropathy, okay? So this is stealing lives of so many people, and there's something that can be done about it. We can take a look and see whether or not we think that we can help you or whether or not you qualify. Very simple to do this. You call the office or email mariah@mccollumwellness.com and say, I want the video. And we'll send you a video to watch, and there's a 25-question questionnaire that you'll also receive and fill out. It's going to help us find out if you are being plagued by peripheral neuropathy. And if you are, then more than likely we'll be able to help you. We have you come in. We're going to do a 7-point sensory neuropathy plan on you, which isn't ours. It's actually standard in the whole neuropathy arena. So we will do a subjective, meaning you tell us what you feel or don't feel, test to find out exactly where you are to the 0.1%, how much peripheral neuropathy you've lost. And we will also do the the thermographic pictures. Step one is call the office, fill out the thing. If it looks like we can help you, we'll have you come in for the pictures. We don't charge for that. Okay. If we need to do any testing beyond that, we'll discuss that with you. And as a small fee, I will have one of the staff go ahead and do the rest of the testing. We usually set that up for a different time because we have to schedule it. And so from that point on, we can find out whether we can help you. Now, it might be that you need just the peripheral neuropathy program. And it might be that you need the cellular detox along with the peripheral neuropathy program. The peripheral neuropathy program, by the way, does include the stem cell or TRT machine. And you may or may not need chiropractic. But how important is this? It's only as important as it is for you to stay healthy and functioning in your life. So, if you're a pretty healthy guy, maybe just chiropractic would make sure your nervous system's working well, or a woman, and if you've got an old injury like a shoulder, knee, or low back, or hip, or ankle that's not working well, maybe you get a series of the soft wave therapy, tissue regenerative therapy treatment on there, and if that's all you need, that's all you need. If you go, you know what, I'm feeling tired, lazy, I've got all this inflammation in my body, everything hurts, and I need to do something about it. And I've been diagnosed with 12 autoimmune diseases and, osteo this to that. Well, maybe you need to get the inflammation out of your body. Dr. Pampas says, fix a cell to get well. And his program is now put together for what he says. It's for times like these. All of the research he's done is for times like these because it's gotten so bad health-wise. We're the most obese country in the world. We're rated 47th in the world for health. We're 4% of the population. We take 70% of all the drugs made in the world. We spend $4.3 trillion on healthcare. For such a time like these, Dr. Pampa is working diligently to make better detoxification program than you'd ever imagine or it's ever been on the planet before. So that's available. And then, of course, if you're already gone down the tubes far enough where you are having peripheral neuropathy, then I recommend that we do those testing on you. So for me, being able to back out a chiropractic adjusting, when I have an incredible doctor there, I'm able to do the rest of this. So we can be a well-rounded, full service practice for you. And I'm excited about that. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. I'm going to see here. That will be for those of you that might want to watch this later. And you can find this at Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube. You can call my office or email Mariah at McCollumWellness.com, or call 831-459-9990 and find out about any of this stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and just read a little passage here that I thought was very interesting. And this gentleman wrote this back in the 1800s, and I think that he's pretty brilliant in telling the times, and it might seem very familiar to what's going on right now. So here we go. "'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mum's wrath outgrabe." Well, who the heck are the borogroves, and what are they outraged about? And who's in the gyre and gimble? What are these guys doing? What's going on in the world, and why do we need to be aware? Well, Lewis Carroll was a pretty smart guy. He said, "Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jubjub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch." Now, who are the frumious bandersnatches of the world? What's going on with our freedoms and our health and our ability to actually keep our body healthy, and all of the other bandersnatches going on this planet? I'll leave that to your imagination. But there stood a person. There's something that he goes on. He says, "He took his vorpal blade in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested by the tum-tum tree, he stood a while and thought." So how long are you going to stand there and think about what's going on into your health, to the world around you? Is it something that we can just take on ourselves, or do we need to band together and do something about it? So this is, if you take out your vorpal sword in hand, and have stood a while and thought, this might be your next move. And as an oofish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. Of course, what would you do? 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker snack, and he left it dead, and with its head, he went galumping back. Well, wouldn't I be galumping back if I slayed this Jabberwock of the world and all of the things that are not in our best interest, the things that are keeping us rated 47th in the world for health, and all the other and ifs that you can put with it? And hath thou slayed the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, oh frabjous day, Kalu Kaloi, he chortled in his joy. So when it's going to be a wonderful day, when we do come, or when we are able to slay the Jabberwocks of this world, leave them dead, and with their head we came galumphing back. And what is it? It was Trillig in the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wave, all mimsy were the borogroves, and the mums wrath outgrave. Lewis Carroll. So he's a pretty brilliant guy. He actually knew a lot of what was going on in the world and wrote a poem for us to decipher over 100 years later to give us our marching orders on what we need to do to be healthy, stay healthy, and actually live on a healthy planet. So I thought that was an interesting poem. I just thought of it this morning for some reason, and I figured that it might ring true to you as well. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. You can find any of this information. The show will be available at Dr. Duncan McCollum on my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum. You can get a hold of Mariah at McCollum Family Chiropractic, or anybody at McCollum Family Chiropractic, 831-459-9990, or Mariah at McCollumWellness.com. I do have my podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio, any place you find podcasts. I've probably got 200 podcasts up there that you can listen to, filled with a lot of good information about health. I'm very excited to get with you and tell you about the upcoming seminar with Dr. Dan Pompa. It's called Live It to Lead It. And I've gone to many of them throughout the years. And I'm just really happy to be one of the platinum doctors there. Because we end up trying to talk to the other healthcare practitioners about what they can actually do to make a bigger difference in the world. And a lot of times what ends up happening is supplements are used just to cover up the symptoms. I know Dr. Joe Wallach has been touting the supplements to help keep you healthy for years, and he's changed so many people's lives with his book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and the station is constantly making sure that those products are available here. So if you are doing nothing for your health, then you definitely want to come talk to Dave Michaels about that. If you are suffering beyond the pale and you feel like you need to slay a Jabberwock, then perhaps you need to call our office and come in and have a consultation with me. I never charge to sit down and talk to anybody for a consultation to see whether or not we can help them. We have you call the office, you fill out some paperwork, and come in and we'll sit down and talk. I can't do that until you filled out the paperwork. And if I think I can help you, I'll let you know. If I don't think I can, I'm going to try to find the right doctor for you, because it does me no good to try to treat somebody I don't think I can help. A lot of times people have to, on my counter in my consultation room, there's a quote by Hippocrates that says, before you can help anybody of anything, you have to find out whether or not they're willing to give up the things that got them there in the first place. So just think about the beginning of the show. I talked about vitamin G, the best vitamin out there. It's free, it's abundant. Nobody can put could put it in a bottle or lock it away. Vitamin G is gratitude. What many of my friends tell their patients and practice themselves is to find, when you wake up in the morning, maybe when you're doing your stretches or exercises, or making your morning, whatever it is you might drink or eat, find 10 things that you're grateful for. And you can do the same ones every day, or you can always add a couple more each time, but do it in a way that it's doable. It's not overwhelming. You're going to go, I don't have time to do it today. be grateful that you do have time right now, and the world will be a lot better place if everybody's a little more grateful. Remember, my favorite book in my office is in my waiting room, and the title of the book is The Secret for Success, The Secret to Success. And when you open the book, there's one word, and that one word is big and bold, and it says serve. So serve other people, find a way to make them smile. I've talked about some of the service and the people that are delivering products to the public, whether it's a coffee shop or a restaurant, or wherever you go spend your money, and just observe what how they are presenting stuff to you. They should be grateful for you because you are paying their check. By you being a customer in that store, you're paying their check. So they should treat you, even without the money involved, they should be treating you as though you're, one of the best people that ever walked into that store that day. And they should do that every time you come in. I've said something recently to a young lady at one of the places that I go for lunch. She was dour. She was playing on her cell phone when I walked in and barely looked up at me. I had to clear my throat to order my normal thing that I get. And then no real recognition, no change of emotion, which was none. And when she brought my plate over, I kindly said, "Excuse me, have you worked here long?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you like working here?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, it would really be nice to show it." And she kind of went, "Yeah." And I go, "I'm not saying that in a mean way. I mean, it's just an observation that, you're representing a business here. And not only that, you're serving people who are coming here to have a pleasant experience. So just think about it." And I wasn't trying to make her wrong, but, she might get a better tip from me if she were to make me feel like I am annoying her that I wanted to eat. So at any rate, I like to just try to throw out these little fun tidbits like the vitamin G, the gentleman, the father who brought his son in to get a dose of vitamin G at my office. I mean, some people go get vitamin B shots. I guess I have to start giving out vitamin G shots. But at any rate, it's been really fun talking to you. I look forward to relating with you even more of what I find out from the seminar Live It to Lead It is coming up next weekend. Live It to Lead It, and learning about all kinds of new health things, cutting edge stuff. And I won't stop because I want to make sure that I'm an early adapter so that I can help our community be and stay healthier. And I would like that for every community, but a lot of people, there's a phrase that I'll end with here. Dr. Dr. John Baker always used to say, "You're either green and growing or ripe and rotting." So, when you're in a business that's green and growing, everything's great. When you're in a business that's ripe and rotting, it's on its way out, and it's sad. But you can always rejuvenate where you want to go and be green and growing. And here's Steve Funderburg and Tony Lindsay, 11-time award winner, Grammy Award winner. You can be free, and you really can.
We'll rise above. Yeah. This hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Steps